Welcome to the Career Skills Network podcast, where we take a deep dive into successful professionals in a variety of fields who turned a simple idea into profound success and continue to make a positive impact in the lives of everyone they meet. My name is Kinsey Oswald, and I'm the Director of Social Media for this amazing nonprofit organization.
Today we have Kari Perry with us, which is not such a fun name. And you know what? It totally fits her too, because she was just so fun to chat with and hear about her journey to becoming a graphic designer. Kari shared great advice for those interested in a graphic design career path and just really shared in detail about who might be a great fit for this career. Welcome, Kari.
All right. Well, I was born in Kansas City, Missouri, and I always really loved anything creative. And my mom was really good about, if I was bored, she'd hand me crayons and blank paper so that I would go draw some pictures. And that just, I think, what led to a lifelong love of art. And that led to a career as a graphic designer. So it's kind of cool how it's all just sort of been a steady thread in my life.
So are you working by yourself? Are you working for a company?
I work for a company. I work for HDR Engineering, Inc., and they are based in Omaha. They are a global company, but that's where the headquarters are.
Is this your first company you've worked for, or how does that look?
No, I have been, I'm going to have to do math now. I have been a graphic designer for, oh my God. Yeah, 28 years. My first job, I know, my first job out of college was at a newspaper in South Texas. We lived in South Texas when I was probably middle school to high school, and my parents were still there after I got out of college, and I didn't yet have a job and was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'll go back home and see what I can find. And so I did some temp work for a while, but then this job for a layout artist came up at the newspaper. So I thought, okay, we'll give that a shot. And it was doing advertising. Every once in a while I would do some artwork for a story, but it was a really good lesson in how, a print piece is produced. And it's changed now, because then it was just before they started doing things digitally. So it was still on a press, and it was still kind of pasted together. And I'm glad that I learned that process, even though it's completely different now. But that was my first job. And then I moved back to Kansas City, after 4 years of being at the paper. And I got a job at an insurance company, believe it or not, in their marketing department, doing graphic design there. And I was there for about 2 years, I think, 2 or 3. And then I got a job at William Jewell College, which is in a town just outside of Kansas City, and which is where I also went to college, as in their marketing department. And so I was the graphic designer for the college for about 13 years. My degree actually is in fine art. At the time when I graduated in 1994, they didn't have like a graphic design degree. So even if that's what you wanted to do, you ended up getting your degree in fine art. So that meant you did do design, but you also did painting, you did sculpting, which I'm horrible at. You did printmaking, stuff like that. So it was good. I'm glad I got a well-rounded, exposure to the different fine arts, but it's a little bit different now. I think you can really specialize in graphic design versus just a broad fine art degree.
So being in the industry for so long, do you think that your degree has kind of helped you?
I think for sure. I think a person, especially I guess probably in any field, you've probably had something of the skills you use all along. Like either you've been good with math, or you've been good with science, or you've been good with English or creativity or whatever. And I think in college, I got whatever artistic skills I might have had. I think it sharpened them, because I really learned how to apply design, how to be intentional when it comes to designing something. and also in how to find different channels to design within. Like, you don't think about it, but product design is huge. We use things every single day, from the plates that we eat off of to the cups we drink from. Those are designed by somebody. Somebody imagined what that was going to look like and be functional or not. And so I think in college, it really showed me, oh, there's more than just you can be an illustrator, or you can be, in an advertising agency. You can do all kinds of things when it comes to at least design. And for me, that was really the big turning point with college, is that it really taught me how to sharpen what my strengths were. And it also, it did show, where maybe I wasn't as strong, but that was good, because then it really whittles it down to, this is what I want to focus on, and this is what I really want to work on. And also, at least for an art major, you had to line up your work. We did this about weekly, and everybody in the class would go through each individual piece, and they would say, what needed more work, what was good, what was not so great. And at first it seemed kind of harsh, but then I realized this is getting me ready for my every single day in my job, because as a designer, you're designing things for people, and it may not be exact at first off, your first try may not be exactly what they wanted. And so they're going to come back with changes, and you cannot take it personally. You have to understand it. They know what they need it for and what they're looking for. And it helped me so much to go through the criticism in school, to learn how to be like, okay, they're not attacking me. This is what they see. They're needing change. And so that has been invaluable when it comes to my work, because, otherwise I would be a blubbering mess every day, because somebody's coming back and saying, can you please change this graphic? And you do learn that. You learn how to, what is your purpose for this graphic? What do you need it for? Because then that'll help you to really get a context for what you can design for. And I think over time you learn how to do that quicker. You learn what is the best way to meet a client's needs, but also still, maintain some form to it. You still want it to look good. There is still an aesthetic to it. And granted, I think I can be a little neurotic when it comes to some things, and I have to just walk away, step back. But yeah, so it's kind of cool to get feedback from people, because then you can really take a temperature of whether or not you've got it, that you're going on the same page, that you're on the right track, that things are going the way you want them to.
So someone entering into this industry or interested in the industry, what are some qualities that you think they need to have in order to be successful?
Perseverance, for sure. I think also being curious, because even though I'm designing within the engineering field, so there's a lot of road work and construction, I look at design. I look at in everything. You can watch movies and see design. I think staying curious about what has been going on in the design field is crucial to just, first of all, enjoying what you do, but also in applying that to whatever job you have, because you're gonna have brand guidelines wherever you are, and that can sometimes be limiting, but you can also, it's almost kind of fun to really try to get creative within those guidelines. And if you're really paying attention to what's hot in design right now, or what's kind of, and looking at magazines and things like that, you can apply that within your brand with whatever you're working on. And I love a website called Behance, and there are designs for all kinds of things on there. And so it's just great to go through there and see what people are doing.
Yeah, so it kind of sounds like being resourceful.
Yeah, I think being resourceful, curious, having perseverance, and also I think having a confidence in, you do have skills, you have an ability. You may have to do a project that you don't particularly like, but the client is the one you're doing it for, and that whatever input they give you, it isn't a reflection on your job, it isn't a reflection on your ability or your creativity as an artist, but it's just what they're needing. And I think if you have a deep core confidence in the fact that I am creative and I'm an artist and I can do, fun stuff in a different venue, maybe, then you can do your job. And even if it's just, kind of maybe it's something kind of boring, what you would not normally do, it still forms it fulfills a function for the client.
That makes sense, yeah. So if you were to go back and tell your younger self or speak to a teenager interested in the industry, what would you kind of say?
I would say don't be afraid to tell your ideas. Listen to what the client says and take that in, and then, also let them know what your ideas are. I usually try to give somebody about 3 different ideas. One being a straightforward, exactly what they told me they wanted, and then another couple that are more maybe out of left field that are more of my imagination. And almost always you end up with kind of a hybrid of the two. And it's really gratifying to see your ideas validated, and your ideas are valid. You are an artist and a designer. Even if you are 18 years old and you've never worked someplace else, you'll have the mind of a designer. Your mind isn't different than when you're 38 years old. And it's a valid idea. And it more than likely is not something that somebody else thought of. And they would be like, I didn't even think about it that way. So, it's important. And they probably will totally appreciate what your idea is because they didn't even think about it.
I have done a little bit of graphic design too, and I've found that what the person will tell me that they want isn't actually what they want. So you almost have to be a translator.
Yes.
And be able to translate from source to end product, and it's a hard process to go through.
It is. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, is you don't think about it, but communication is huge. If you don't have a great communicator, it's going to take you a little while to get the idea that what they want. But I think with experience, you learn to ask questions, and it's okay to ask questions. I'm always the first to say, this might be a dumb question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. And, that gives you more information, and the more information you have, the more context you have, and the more ideas you're going to get. And probably the closer you're going to get to a happy customer.
Right. I think recognizing that asking questions and being curious is not a manifestation of being inferior or, not understanding the process. Like, being curious is one of the best ways you can resource yourself.
Absolutely. And, you want to you kind of want to feed that, I think it's important to stay curious because there's always going to be new things to learn. Like I've been working for 28 years, and I've just in the last 2 years started to get into video editing because I had that chance at work to take on some video projects and whatever, and I love doing it. It's so fun, and it's taken some learning, and there's been some growing pains, but it's starting to stick now, and I'm starting to get it, and it's led to other things. And so it's always great to be curious, especially in this field, because there's so many new programs that you can find. There's so much that you can do that is kind of fun and kind of cool, and you have no idea where it'll lead. It might lead somewhere really amazing.
So what is your favorite piece about your job?
I love that it kind of sounds egotistical, but I love that something that I do with the help of other people giving me input, of course, but it helps others to look better. They do proposals that they are going to present to somebody, or I'll do videos that people will show at a conference. It helps the company to look good, and that can lead to people getting better infrastructure in their communities. And it feeds a broader picture. It's small, and people think that design isn't important, but it allows for people to get things done. It allows for somebody to sell a vaccine on TV. You see these graphic design ads for the vaccine, that gets the information out there. So there's a purpose to design, and I love that there's a broader purpose, and it can be in any field. You can have design in the healthcare industry, you can have it in the marketing industry. I mean, I feel like there's possibilities for everything, and it's just kind of cool that an idea that I might have can maybe make somebody else's job a little bit easier.
I love that. That totally makes sense. Okay, well, I really appreciate you sitting down and talking with me today.
Thank you. I babble and I apologize.
No, that's fine. That's totally fine. I think usually when we babble, we're just kind of talking and then we're like, what's the idea? What's the idea? Oh, here's the
Yes.
idea. And then I'm an external communicator, so I completely
Oh, I'm so glad.
The Career Skills Network podcast is brought to you by Career Skills Network. To learn more about Career Skills Network and all of the services that we offer, visit our website at csnet.org.